I'm delighted to be here for the commemoration of 1916 here in Longford. At the outset, I'd like to thank Martin Morris and Mary Reynolds for inviting us here today. I'm here with my parents, Sean and Kitty O'Connell. I'm the grandson of Eilís O'Connell and grandnephew of Áine and Riain, who were active in Cumann na mBan before, during and after the Rising, throughout the War of Independence, the Civil War, and indeed into the foundation of the state we live in today, free and proud as an independent nation in Europe. 1916 was a seminal event in the history of Ireland and a spark that lit the flame of a push for independence that we enjoy today. It was the foundation spark of our state and an event that deserves to be commemorated due to the vision, sacrifice, commitment and patriotism of the volunteers. The values that are enshrined in the proclamation of 1916 are ones of equality, democracy and rights for all to live as one nation together. In knowing the story of Eilís and Áine at Easter week, it is one of bravery, humanity, faith and loyalty. It is also a story of idealism and patriotism. To the men and women of 1916 we owe the freedom we enjoy today, and we are still building on the foundations that they laid. Their archived testimony of the events of Easter week of 16 shine a light into the cause they believed in. They were willing to take risks with their lives to support the Rising in Dublin City. In Easter week, the city centre was a war zone, where shelling and fire and gunfire was all around them. They both made their way to the GPO to offer their support to the men. They were young women, only in their 20s, in their early 20s. They tended the wounded and fed the hungry rebels in the O'Connell Street area. Their actions were selfless, true to the cause, carried out with humanity and faith. Their patriotism enhanced the uprising. Their values of decency also carried forward into the statehood won by the actions of 16. We have pride in their activities, and in the passing of a century realise the debt we owe them, having gained for us a free nation in the eyes of the world. Eilís and Áine were natives of Lestrina. Eilís worked in Dublin and joined both the Gaelic League and Cumann na mBan. Áine worked in Tullamore and was active in Cumann na mBan there. She visited Eilís in Dublin City on Easter Saturday 1916 and remained in the city, and both were mobilised on Easter Monday. Early in the Rising, Eilís served in Rhea's chambers on O'Connell Street. Eilís made her way from the GPO with rations and milk for the men fighting on that corner of O'Connell Street, before volunteering to join the Four Courts garrison. Rather than serving in the Four Courts, she was sent to Father Matthew Hall, Church Street, where she tended the medical station. By Saturday, it was obvious that the end of the Rising was near. The wounded were evacuated from the hall and taken to the Richmond Hospital, which was close by. There Eilís met the distinguished surgeon, Sir Thomas Miles. She later recounted in the archives the meeting. He put his hand on my shoulder, and I thought he was going to have me arrested. But he just asked, "Have you got any sleep during the week?" I said no, and he patted my shoulder, saying we girls had done Trojan work with the wounded. Eilís escaped arrest after the surrender. Áine was attached to the GPO garrison throughout the week. At first she served in Rhea's chambers in the Hibernia Bank. On Wednesday she transferred into the GPO, where she helped to prepare food. On Friday, when it was clear that the garrison could no longer remain in the building, Padraig Pearse called all the women together and spoke to them. According to Áine, he said he wished that every one of us who was not qualified in first aid should leave, as the fighting would get very severe. They would probably come to using bayonets to fight their way out. Áine and most of the women left the building and were briefly detained at Broadstone Station later that day. We have a duty to remember those to whom we owe so much. The centenary of Easter week is an opportunity to celebrate and reflect. The individual stories of Áine and Eilís, along with hundreds of others involved in the Rising, make up a tapestry of events, of people and traditions of Ireland at that time. Gur míle maith.